So yeah, so today, October the 22nd, so later we'll talk about the dialogue with the spirits and the dynamics around that, and she will cover today some of the aspects, but then she will go more in details in November 11th, I guess, because I'm still preparing the agenda. And I will share the agenda tomorrow. My workload has been quite challenging, and I really didn't have much time to clean up the preliminary agenda that we put together. So I will share the final version tomorrow. But for today, I will first invite the group for our prayer. I didn't prepare slides because Leda is going to share. She prepared the material for us. Thank you, Leda. And I will invite the group for a quick prayer. So we are here together, Jesus, for first learn from each other's experience, share our experience, and learn from your teachings. So be here with us today. We invite as well our mentors, our guides, the high spirits to be here with us, as well as those whoever wants to learn from all these loving teachings that is coming from the spiritual world. So we ask Jesus to protect us, to guide us, to keep us, not only us, but also our members, our family members, our houses, our pets, all the animals in the whole planet, because we are all the same part of a huge God's creation. So we all pertain to the same God's creation. So be here with us today and help us grasping and understanding the Spirit's teachings, but also please help Leda to be calm and be able to convey the message, all the learnings that she prepared for us and to share with us today. So thank you for all the protection. Thank you for all the love and stay with us today, tomorrow, and always. And so be it.
So be it.
Leda, with that, I will transfer to you and I will make you as the host.
Okay. I hope my computer
You collaborate?
Collaborate. Yeah. So.
Oh, as a matter of fact, while she is preparing that, let me remind you, the daylight saving time is going to end in November the 6th here in Texas. So we need to pay attention to that, because as we connect to other meetings, right? So timing, the time of those meetings, the way that they start is going to change pretty quick. Okay, so we can see your slides and perhaps you want to put in the presentation mode?
Yeah, I'm trying to do that. Just
to do that?
Yeah.
Yeah, let me see if I can help you. You have Okay, so you see recuperação de documentos. Okay, yeah, I agree.
No, it's okay, I think.
Yeah.
The thing is that, okay, okay, no, we can start. So what I need to do today is to share with you my experience with more than 20 years in mediumistic meetings, and I do the part of the dialogue with the spirits. I help the coordinator of the meeting. So I'll try to tell you what the spirits say about this, okay? So let me go on. Okay, so first of all, we know that the spirits, they start preparing the meeting long before we start the actual meeting. So the room in which we make the meeting, it takes place, it should be separated for this purpose only. Because they have equipment, like in a hospital or in a school. We have equipment to show the students, like here we have the computer. They have their own equipment to make the communications easier, to have the spirits come to the meeting, and also to have the safety of the meeting, because only the spirits who are allowed to get in can get in. So they have to establish some protection around the place, so that the spirits who are not allowed to go in, they will be out of the meeting. So this has to be in a specific place. Also, we have our own individual preparation for the meeting. So in the day of the meeting, I know that some of you are going to Texas, right? And you have, I don't know, 2 meetings, right? On mediumistic meetings, maybe.
Yeah, we are planning to have at least 2 practices.
Yeah, so in the day of the meeting, you should eat light. You can't eat heavy food, eat a lot. You can't have meat. It's not that you can't, but it's better if you don't have meat. And it's better if you don't drink alcohol in that day. And also in that day, you should try not to argue with anyone, should try to have the best thoughts and to meditate or pray. Be calm in that day, because that will make it easier to establish the connection with the spirits. So
yeah,
we
and
have,
Leda, can I interrupt for a
Sure.
second? As a matter of fact, there are some spiritist centers that they say once we are preparing ourselves to be in the mediumistic meetings like this, they want us to actually prepare the day before, right? Or sometimes a couple days before,
Yeah.
depending on the complexity of the objective of that mediumistic meeting. So they want us to make sure that we will be balanced, well balanced, so we do not open doors for undesirable visitors, right? So it's a matter of frequency. This is not something, okay, so you don't eat meat. So this is not like, this is science, you know, it's a matter of frequency. You need to observe
Yeah.
your quality of your thoughts, etc. You need to,
When we say in the day of the meeting, it's like 24 hours before, right? At least 24 hours. So if you have a meeting in the afternoon, then 24 hours before. If it's in the evening, like at least, of course, you should have that balance every day in your life, but especially on that day of the meeting, you should attend this.
Yeah. Observe those
Yeah, observe.
points, right?
Sorry. Yeah, those
That
points.
the thing is, it's not that if you don't do this, it's not that you are not going to you will not be able to communicate with the spirits. You will. The thing is, you want to make sure that you will communicate with the right spirits, with the ones that you really want to meet. Because I know some mediums, they do not do any of those, how can I say, they do not follow any of those rules, or but at the end of the day, they do not really get serious messages. They do not have a very nice connection. They pick up whatever frequency, spirits that they do not talk seriously, and we don't want to waste our time and not their time as well, right? So
yeah, that's right. So you have to be on your best shape. Like if you go on a surgery, you have to be on your best shape. Anything that we commit ourselves to do, we should do the best that we can, right? To be able to get the best connection and the best spirits to be there with you. So with that, we have in the meeting, as you see in the picture, Luis, go ahead. Hi.
It's interesting, this thing of food that I remember sometimes happened. There was a medium that worked with my mother, who was another medium too, herself, that once I witnessed something very bizarre. The medium started feeling very bad, and she started, falling over the floor and rolling on the floor and moaning and sometimes shouting. And then the spirit that came through her said, well, we've advised her many times not to eat what she ate before coming here today. So we had to accelerate her digestion so that she can work properly for us. Next time, please tell her not to eat this again. And I've seen this, and there is a book by Chico Xavier called "The Missionaries of Light," of the Light. I mean, and it's they say something like this too. So it was a connection between what the book says and what I've seen in my life. The spirit accelerating the digestion of a medium because a medium had eaten too much or eaten something that was not good for their work, right?
Yeah, because much of the energy that we use in mediumship, it's connected also with the stomach, right? I don't know how, but the
ectoplasm,
chakra.
photoplasma, ectoplasm many times comes from this part, right, of the so
Yeah.
if the person has, and for example, they say the alcohol destroys ectoplasm, right?
Yeah.
So it disturbs them.
Yeah. So here we have the meeting as it normally happens. And we have, of course, a physical coordinator of the meeting who is the one who tried to use Kardec's criteria when talking to the spirits. So he will be able to see if the message, the content of the message is good, useful, and true. And if everything is working well, and who is going to do what and what time when it happens. The whole thing, how, when it starts, if it's going to have the reading of a message or not, if the hands-on healing will be applied to anyone. He will be the coordinator of everything that happens in the physical part. And he will have one or two people to help him, to assist him in his duties, right? And of course, he will be the one who will have most of the intuitions of the spirituality will be helping this coordinator, this physical coordinator, to enlighten the spirits. Okay, Anna, you can say. Go on.
Oh,
Please.
yeah, sorry. No, I should lower my hand because the comment that I had was on the previous one.
No, go on.
I was about to mention this book that is not translated in English yet, but is a very famous book in Brazil, and that tells several cases that happened in mediumistic meetings in some of the spirit centers in Brazil. And there is this specific case, like the medium, the day before, he was in a nightclub type of party. And what happened was, because of the quality of his ectoplasm was not really good to be used. So he actually was more of like a problem for the spirits. So the spirits had to do or end up doing was kind of isolating that guy from the mediumistic meeting to make sure that the quality of the ectoplasm and all the quality of the connection was still preserved, was protected from that interference. So yeah, so that's why we need to observe seriously those behaviors and rules, etc. Because yeah, exactly, because at the end of the day, we don't want to be a problem to the spirits. We want to help. We don't want them to end up, having issues with our interference.
Yeah, absolutely. So although we do have this physical coordinator, the real coordinator is the spiritual coordinator, because this will be a higher spirit that will come in the spirit of charity, of helping us in the physical plane, but also helping the spirits who will need to be listened to, who will be helped in the meeting, right? So this will be a higher spirit, and they will have, he or she will have a team. Like you see in the picture, there are many spirits that come. So there is a spiritual team that are actually the ones who will decide what's going to happen in the meeting or not. We just open our hearts and our minds to them and try to see what they have to get to us. Okay, Luis.
Yes, I think this is very similar to many people, spiritualists in England, in the United States and Australia, have reported about physical meetings. There are the gatekeepers, so spirits that watch for the environment, to defend the environment. There's one spirit that is more linked to the director or the monitor of the meeting, and to the one who's going to speak to the spirit. And there is the mentor of the meeting, which is usually a spirit of a higher position. And I've heard people speaking about that in physical mediumship meetings. It's very similar in this way. But the point is, if there's someone inside the meeting that's very badly connected, it's very difficult for any mentors, or it's hard to keep the safety of the meeting completely if this person is a persistent persistently thinking bad things. And I remember that this was one of the reasons some physical mediums decided to shut down their circles because of one member or two that were not helping at all, right? So they had to change to move on to another circle or even stop working because one person can really damage the situation sometimes.
So it's our responsibility, right, to make things right, because we can spoil the work of so many people and so great people that we don't know for sure. We just feel their presence, but sometimes they are very high spirits that are giving a token of love and of dedication to us, and we can lose this opportunity because we are not responsible. Okay, Anna, go ahead.
Actually, it's more like a question. Can we say that we here in the physical dimension, we replicate or we try to replicate the same structure that the spirits have on the other side for the meetings, for the circle meetings, like what Luis was saying? So they have a gatekeeper over there, so we do have the same, we have a coordinator here. So can we say that we here, we are trying to replicate the same elements that they have on the other side, so that connection is...
Yeah, I think we are not willing to replicate, but it's the way it has to work, because if we don't do that, we want to have the communications. They won't be possible, right? So if we don't, because we act as they have been telling us for 100 and 200 years now, right? With Kardec's experience and what we have been learning, that's what works, right, Luis?
Yeah, sorry, Gloria, I will let you speak in a minute, but yes, the point is we don't try to mimic them because sometimes it's impossible. For example, while we are here sitting, concentrating, shut everybody silent, many times in the spiritual realm, people are talking, are walking around and doing things. But for us to keep in touch with them, we need silence, we need concentration, sometimes light music playing. And that's, for example, it's a different behavior to connect with them, right? But of course, these things, well, it's so tricky, this kind of thing, that the group has to be a studious group. People have to study. Everybody has to study. That's usually a demanding situation, because sometimes mediums don't like studying because as they think, as they have this capacity of or in getting connected with the spirit realms, they don't need to study, but they need more than anyone to study very profoundly what they're doing, because it's tricky. And the group, if the group is not careful, it can be deceived very easily. It can be taken to some tracks that are not the correct ones. So it's something that, and if it's a group, a serious group, when I say serious, it's not a group that cannot smile, but a serious group that takes it seriously. Yeah,
committed.
Committed to the work. You can have the presence of very good spirits, very wise ones, right? And I think this is the goal, the main goal. Gloria, thank you.
It's a question. These functions or responsibilities, who and how are they determined? Who determines them and how?
Yeah, well, they are the natural abilities of everyone. So for instance, the trance mediums, they are what they are. I mean, they have this ability of connecting to the spiritual world easier than other people. And sometimes they only discover that they have this when they start going to a mediumistic meeting. I have friends who didn't know that they had this ability until they actually started practicing in a mediumistic meeting. But they have this ability, and it's probably also physical. There's something physically in the body that helps them have this connection easier than other people. But it can also be worked, be developed. When you start, for instance, I didn't have this ability very little, and now after 20 years of practice, I have it more. My skills are more open than before. But usually people who have this ability, they have it, and they find out as soon as they are in the right environment. And you have the hands-on healing mediums. This can be anyone who only have the goodwill to do so and study and pray, right? These are the hands-on healing mediums. And the coordinators are the ones who have studied and have some practice in mediumistic meetings. And this comes naturally with the time. And the physical coordinator will establish who will do what and what time. Of course, there is, like Anna here says, no, you're going to talk now, you're going to give a study to us, you can speak right now. So it's like the physical coordinator is a little bit like what Anna does with us here.
The facilitator only.
Facilitator, yes. Do you want to say something, Anna?
Oh yeah, yeah, I was about to add a little bit what Lida was saying is yeah, it's natural, but one thing is for sure, we have not all this positions or roles, because they're actually roles, they do not happen like from day to night. So for the coordinator or the facilitator or gatekeeper, it has to be someone with a large experience, because that will be the person actually guiding the conversation, the whole conversation. That person needs to know exactly what he or she is saying, because at the end of the day, that will be the person kind of it's like a diplomat, or is negotiating, is talking, is trying to convince the spirits, you know, of the situation, trying to explain that spirit, you know, the situation that he or that spirit needs this or that help, and then we'll try to convince the spirits to follow the good spirits to be helped, right? So it's really tricky, and you have to have that kind of experience. Now, you said something that was very interesting later, that sometimes we are in those mediumistic meetings, we do not know if we are capable of doing this or that, seeing or not seeing things. Like what happened to me, I don't think I had any clue that I could see something until the day we were in this meeting and we were studying. We were reading a section of the book of mediums, and then when I stand up my head, I could see around the table it was like a line of fire. It was very interesting. It was like this line of fire around us, and beyond that line of fire, several spirits, lots of people around that. And I could see that they were there, they were brought there to hear what we were studying, what we were discussing on that day. And that line of fire was some tool or whatever the spirits they were using to protect us and them. So
Yeah.
I have no idea that I could see those kind of things. I just knew that I was not delirious, because there were other people that were able to see, mediums. So it was very interesting.
Yeah, there's always this line of energy that protects. And many times the spirits say, oh, my friends, they can't come in. So the spirit who is manifesting, who is talking, he says, my friends can't come in. That's because of this protection that the meeting has, right? Luis.
Yeah, this is something very important to talking about, because look, like this group here, for example, this group we've become friends and connected through friendship. This is very beautiful. And if we had the opportunity to get together, as you're going to have like in November, unfortunately, I won't be able to do this year, but as many people as can, right, please, if you can go there, because this connection, one group that is friendly, this is the real basis for great works, friendship, true friendship, you understand, connection through fraternity. Because sometimes in the spiritual centers, they are very public. And as I worked in several ones, one of the problem is that you gathered people that were very disconnected from each other. They came from very different walks of life, but at the same time, they were not friends. So they didn't know each other. It's hard to build a mediumistic meeting on this basis, you understand? Because friendship is very nice. And I remember corroborating with what Anna has just said. Remember people like, for example, I don't know if she has already been here, Gileni, our friend, she's a medium. And Laleda may remember that, right? When we set up a mediumistic circle a long time ago, Gileni used to say, she's a doctor, a pediatrician, just like Livia, and she used to say, come on, I have no mediumship. I'm not medium at all. I have no capacity of it. Okay, at the beginning, she didn't show any kind of, I see nothing, I hear nothing, I get sleepy and so on. That's the only thing. Suddenly, out of nothing, she became a very important medium. And today, she's one of the most important mediums in the mediumistic circles, and the healing mediums in terms of healing, having the spirits coming through her. And because, look, people, it's a charitable situation. The mere approach of the spirit was just crossed over, just died, quote unquote. The mere approach of this spirit near the medium is already of great help to him or her, right? Because the spirits can make them, revives them situations that were kind of traumatizing them because of the moment of dying, you understand? So there's lots of kinds of work, psychological work that can be done to the spirits. So that's why many times when a spirit meeting like this is set up, right, there's a lot of help from the other side. So I think this is something that I may tell you about this meeting. If you can, if you are in the United States, it's not so expensive. I think it's good for you to test a meeting with friends. It's very beautiful. That's why, in my opinion, I think Tom Care always asks home circle, because home circle, of course, is usually made by friends, right? Made up by people who are friendly. And this is more, it's so important to do this. Allan Kardec had discovered that too. He said, if you are in a meeting where people it has to be very careful of what they're saying, otherwise they're going to hurt people's feelings. This kind of meeting is there as if there is a frozen blanket, right, covering the meeting, and things don't happen well.
Like in the skull, right, Luis? In the skull interview that you had
Yeah.
They said that,
Harrison's family, the Harrisons in
Yeah.
England, usually home circle, they were very successful, right?
yeah,
That's it.
thank you. Anna?
I was about to answer Gloria. There will be a session in Brazil one day. Not now, but there will be. One thing that I would like to add to what Luis just said is we cannot forget that at the end of the day, those meetings, they're actually therapy meetings, right, Luis? That's what we are trying to do, the same way when we have our therapy groups helping each other from each other's experience. That's what we are trying to do when we do those circles as well, is a therapeutical type of sessions.
They're healing, psychologically healing, right? Hyacinth, please.
Yes, if I may say that, I have been associated with St. Stephen and his appearance to my priest, one of my priests. And he said that once when he appeared, he says, "Oh, hello, am I invited to the party?" And they said, "Party?" He says, "Yes, there are lots of people here who are listening and learning."
Oh, yeah, that's true. Thank you, Hyacinth. So, in this kind of mediumistic meeting, we usually have this trance mediumship in which the spirit will talk through the medium. Of course, there are other forms of talking to the spirits. As you know, we have physical effects in which the object moves. We have, like in Allan Kardec's time, when the pen or the pencil or the feather, I don't know, was connected to a basket and it would move. And there is, of course, there is in the physical effects, there is direct voice that happens, but these are rare, more rare. Usually we have this trance mediumship in which the mediums, they connect, their minds connect to the spirit. So they're able to communicate as if they were speaking. So let's try to understand a little bit of how it works, because there are so many, although they are trance mediums, but there are different ways in which they use, and they have different skills that they can use for this trance mediumship. So I don't know if you can see well. I like this picture because it shows a little bit of how we receive this light, because each medium will see the phenomena in his or her own way. So there's always a little bit of you, of the medium, in the message that comes. It's not 100% pure. There is no such things as 100% pure. Like if we're all here talking about something that happened on the street, a show that we went through, to each one of us will tell a different part, a different perspective of what we all saw. So if we're all going to talk tomorrow about what happened today in this meeting, we will all say a different thing, because we will all put a little bit of ourselves into the observation. It's not the purpose to, the mediums will, of course, they will try to not think about themselves, to not interfere. They will try to let the spirit connect. They will try to open space in their minds for the spirit to connect. But even though there's always a little bit of the medium that comes with the message. Why does it happen? Because we are filters, right? So some mediums will be very good filters and others won't, but all of them are. It doesn't mean that it's they lack in goodwill or anything. It's just we are what we are. It's the skill, and sometimes we don't have the complete skill. So it's a little bit like this pictures here. Some people will receive the light, but we won't be a filter. We'll reflect the light, like this apple is reflecting the light. And some people will let the light go through. But as the light goes through, there's some part of us that go through with the light. So in this case, the light that goes through is only the red light. You see in the jello, the only light that goes through is the red light. So sometimes it happens. And there's an example in Chico Xavier's book called In the Domains of Mediumship, that they had a physical coordinator, that they have a spiritual coordinator called Clementine. And there were 3 mediums in the group that would that were connected to Clementine, 3 mediums. Of these 3 mediums, 2 of them could see Clementine very well. 2 of them could see Clementine very well. The third one would see Clementine as if he were wrapped in sheets, you know, like the common ghosts that we see in the stories with sheets. So one of the mediums would have this perception of the spirit. And also with listening, one of the mediums of the 3, one would listen to Clementine very well. The other will have only intuitions, like if it were her thoughts, her own thoughts. And the third one wouldn't listen to him at all, wouldn't hear anything that he said. So you see that it's the same phenomena, the same spirit, but for 3 different mediums, they would have 3 different perspectives, 3 different ways of understanding the phenomena. So that's why it's hard sometimes for you to understand, because sometimes one gets one part of the message, the other gets another part of the message, and it's hard sometimes to put everything together in a way that makes sense. But it's an exercise, right? Luis, please.
Yes, and there comes the ability of the monitor, right? Because sometimes you just like the cross correspondences in the past you have in the English-speaking countries about mediumship. The guy goes on, yes, connecting the pieces, and then sometimes the meeting is very beautiful, but because at the end there's a mosaic made, you know, everything that it was disconnect at first, sometimes everything makes sense at the end of the meeting, and everybody saw or sees that this was a great work from the spirituality using all kinds of mediums. Yeah, because there are many kinds of, and the personality of the medium interferes a lot with the kind of mediumship the mediums have sometimes. If you are, there are some people who have a very strong grasp of the physical world. So this kind of medium sometimes don't get the idea. They get the images. I can see a spirit is dressed in a blue gown, and the fabric is like this, like that. Yes, the patterns of his blouse, her blouse, for example, is like this, like that. Okay, but what's the idea? I don't know. And some other time, and another media sometimes grabs the idea. Oh, I feel the presence of this spirit with this blue gown, but in this blue gown, but I think this spirit is sad because of this, and that. And then the pieces are start being connected, and suddenly it has everything to do with a person who had asked for a prayer on the table, right? In a piece of paper or something like this. So this is the point that, and that's why the monitor has to be also praying and concentrating, because, and it's beautiful because I myself, for example, working as a monitor many times, I saw that my mediumship was produced by them, right? Out of nothing. Suddenly I started seeing, started being very intuitive, something that normally I wasn't. I thought it's very beautiful.
Yeah. Yeah, thank you, Luis. You reminded me also that sometimes to get into trance, every medium has a different way. Like Tyler Henry, for instance, he draws, right? So that's his way of getting into trance. Sometimes the medium feels something, sometimes he sees something, sometimes another medium in the table mentions that he's seeing one thing and then the other links it and getting into trance. Vladimir, I don't know if he's here. Sometimes the spirit sings and it's easier for him to connect with the spirits when he sings, which is very nice too. Or sometimes he speaks a different language, and that's how he makes the connection sometimes as well. So every medium is a different case, and it's very rich. The phenomena is very rich in this way, right? Okay, Anna, go on.
Yeah, and I was about to say the culture and the beliefs of the medium will also interfere in that phenomenon, right? So depending on where the medium is coming from and what is the belief of that person. So I remember this day when I was praying with my aunts in my aunt's house, and my aunt, she is very Catholic, and she's a medium, but she doesn't she says no, this is just the Holy Spirit stuff. But anyway, okay, I'm okay with that. So so we were praying, and then she asked me to read a piece of the Bible, and as I was doing so, after I finished, so she told me that she had a beautiful vision. She saw Holy Mary handling me on her hands rolls of flower petals on her hands. Evidently, I'm nobody for the Holy Mary to come over and give me something. So I guess it was my aunt's belief. She saw that, but actually could be any good spirits or my protector coming and just kind of
a higher spirit, right?
Yeah, but not someone like very high.
Not so high, maybe, but higher, higher than us. Yeah. Thank you, Anna. Gloria, please.
It sounds like spirit activates an ability in the group if they need it and it serves their purposes.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, that's it. Yeah, they use the skills according to what they need. So sometimes they need a medium that, for instance, Gileni, as Luis said, this medium, this friend of ours, she's a pediatrician, so a doctor, right? So sometimes when they have a child coming through, or a mother, anything related to motherhood, the spirit will come through her because she has this this feeling very strong. So they would come through her, and they will use the skills and the connections and the feelings that we have normally, the concerns and the thoughts that we have every day. That's what they use. Luis.
Yes, Gloria, very important what you're saying, that there's a twist situation for that. If the purpose is charity, if the purpose is helping people with no other interest, mediumship suddenly appears, right? You don't know how to explain that, because when you're helping people, things start happening. Just even in physical beneficent charity, it happens. I've already told you once here that I was in the Spiritist Center. I was talking to very needy people, about 130 people, yes, in a hall. And the Spiritist Center president came to me and said, Sergio, we won't have food baskets enough to serve all these people. So maybe we have to do some raffles or something like that. It's not gonna be good. And I said, oh my God. So while I was speaking, I was praying, and suddenly at the end of my speech, the president said, Sergio, I will tell you what happened after, but say that there will be food baskets to everyone. And later on, he told me, Sergio, about 10 minutes before the end of your speech, a guy came up to parked his truck in front of the Spiritist Center with exactly the number of food baskets we needed, 50 food baskets, and said, well, I came to Belo Horizonte with this load here, but the Spiritist Center where I was going to deliver this thing is not open, and they said it will open only on Monday. I need to go back to my town. Do you want this? But yeah, why not? Look, and things. So if you're just helping people, right, things happen in a way that's unbelievable. And it happens the same in the Mediumistic group. If the group is a group of friends and people are there with the objective only of growing spiritually. And
Yeah, this is very important, Luis. And it reminds me that when Gloria said, who tells you to do this or that? The monitor, he or she should have discipline, but also leave space for unusual things to happen, things like that. Sometimes the monitor doesn't have the control of everything that happens. Of course not. Who has the control is the spirituality. So if we have our minds in charity, in helping, in praying, then we'll have unexpected results. Sometimes, like you said, better than we imagine. So there should be some space for spontaneity, for being spontaneous, right? So sometimes during the meetings, someone starts praying, and that person just felt like that. So it's a good thing. It's not like the monitor will say, shut up, because if you do something like that, you break everything. So you have to have discipline, but also to embrace, to be tender, and to give room for people to express themselves, their better parts, their better feelings, right?
Yeah, at the end of the day, the main rule is love.
Love, yeah, sure. So this is just a picture that shows how the tune, the connection is made. So the medium is sitting here, and the spirit of the medium will get a little bit away of the body, not totally, but he will be out of the body a little bit, but connected, because the medium will control if the spirit is too nervous, too angry, and wanting to curse or things like that. He will say, calm down. He will control it somehow. And the spirit, the manifesting spirit, I don't know if that's right, Luis, the spirit who is talking, who will be manifesting, he's not entering the body of the medium. No, he will be connected by the mind. So this is the one, the manifesting spirit will be close as well, and the two of them will be connected to the body by mind, by the mental connection. Yes, Luis, please.
Yes, it's a very interesting picture because you have to remember that the spirit of the medium usually gets a little bit away from the body, right? For the other spirit to manifest, right? To come through. And the medium has the obligation of watching what's going on, because there's a problem. There are some mediums that they just want to go away, and sometimes the spirit comes through and does some kind of noise or some kind of disturbing actions, and the monitor has to call the attention of the medium for that. No, you are at work. You are here to work, so you have to be working. You will be just like the Apostle Paul. Remember when I read the Apostle Paul saying, order in the cult? He said, the prophet has the obligation to watch for the spirit that's coming through it, right? Through him. So it's important. And it's something that it's interesting to understand also, is that in this kind of work, everybody needs to be watching, just be attentive, because and I remember that the terminology in English is very proper. The transmediumship, as far as I remember, transmediumship in English is the mediumship where people speak, right? We call in Portuguese psychophonic mediumship. But the transmediumship is because for you to speak better, for the spirit to speak better through you, it's good that you are in trance, right? That you are very disconnected from your body, for the spirit to take hold and take control of some part of your brain responsible for your speech, for example, and speak through that.
Yeah, sometimes the medium doesn't remember because of that, right, Luis? The medium doesn't remember what he said, what the spirit said. It happens, but it doesn't mean that he doesn't have control of what's going on. He just doesn't remember when he comes back to the body, but he must have control of what's going on. It's safer for himself as well. We had the other day, Vladimir had a very, very heavy spirit coming through him. And it was interesting that there was a third spirit that came to help him set back to himself. And this third spirit, he said, "Can I stand up?" And then the monitor said, "Yeah, you can, but be careful with the medium." And then he stood up and he helped him go back, because this other spirit was so heavy, so hard, that because we help with the hands-on healing, but it was not enough in this case. And then another spirit came and helped him get back to himself. And that's why it's so important to have support, to have other people in the meeting praying at the same time, meditating, putting their wills to help, sending vibrations to help, because everybody together is responsible for the safety and the help of the mediums who are putting their hearts open. They are to do that. You have to put your heart open. You have to be nude, not physically, but spiritually. You put yourself there in, you're fragile there. So you must have the support of everybody else who is praying and willing to help and willing to do the best for the spirit and for the mediums to be protected in that moment. Anna, please.
Yeah, and as a matter of fact, that's the main role of the people, the not mediums, but the other people sitting in that circle, because that's what their role is to support, right? So keep the vibration high, keep the quality of their thoughts very high scale, if you will. So in order to support those events. But one of the things also that I remember learning from all the classes and trainings is to educate ourselves, right? So it is one of the key responsibilities of the medium to educate himself or herself, to make sure that he or she is really, like Luis saying, they do not like studying, or sometimes they are lazy. It's kind of, well, I do connect to the spirits. What else I need to learn? Well, you need to educate your mediumship so you know how to use it. It's like tuning a tool. It's like using any tool. And it will not help much if you only possess the tool. You need to know how to use it, right?
Yeah, and everybody should be there to help you as well, because sometimes the situation is so hard that it touches some parts of your past that you can't, you didn't overcome it very well, and sometimes you feel very fragile. So you should feel that you have help and support. That's why sometimes when you have an argument within the group or anything like that, things turn so hard and so difficult. So you must have in mind that you have a bigger purpose, which is to help who is suffering a lot, and put aside these things, these arguments and this pride that we have sometimes. Luis.
Well, that's the point. We have two aspects of mediumship that are very important in the exercise and training of mediumship, which is what we call in Portuguese is the anemic aspect, which is the amount of memories you have from past reincarnations, past lives, and in between lives memories. And the personymic aspect is that the culture you've already acquired in this reincarnation. The more you study history, geography, culture, philosophy, whatever, the more you study, the wider will be your alphabet for the spirits to use. So if you have knowledge on medicine, right, maybe the spirits will choose you, even if you are not a doctor, you choose you to deliver a communication from a doctor from the other side, right? If you know a lot, because look, when you say, some people say, well, but the Chico Xavier had only elementary school. He didn't have even the end of elementary school. He had the first years of elementary school. How could he write so many things about all kinds of scientific and philosophical and whatever? Because he had this baggage in his anemic side. But not everybody has this capacity. Even Chico Xavier used to say to the mediums, study a lot, study whenever and whatever you can, as much as you can, for you to be able to connect with all kinds of spirits from all walks of life, and they will come through you, right? Gladly to speak, because they will feel a correspondence, because you will have the alphabet they need here. Because sometimes the medium doesn't have the alphabet, so the messages will be very broken, right? They won't have the capacity to transmit everything, or to convey everything the spirits wants to say or to communicate.
Yeah, that's it. Thank you. We should always be studying. So what are the kind of spirits that come through? The most common spirits that come through in a meeting like that are the ones who don't know they have died. And of course, I've learned that you can't get to the spirit and tell him abruptly and unexpectedly, oh, you have died. No, you have to get him to get that conclusion by himself, not to hurt him and put him in a worst situation, of course. But you, little by little, you get to have him conclude that he has died or she has died. This is a very common situation that happens. We have frivolous spirits who need to be shaken because they are very comfortable with that situation that they live in the spiritual world, not doing anything useful, wasting their time in being close to people who drink alcohol, or being close to people who are just having fun. And they come saying that they're fine with it, they don't want to change, but usually we see that there is something wrong, they're suffering behind that. They are running from something, running away from something, and it's an opportunity for them to reunite with people that care about them, that are in higher plans, higher realms, and put their lives together and starting over, right? Disorderly behaviors, we have a lot of them. Sometimes they come threatening because we are helping someone, and it's not according to their plans, so we spoil their activities, and they come complaining and threatening us. And sometimes we can help them too, and they get to change as well, and they start over as well. Suffering spirits are usually those who are being enslaved or kept in prisons in the spiritual world, because that happens a lot. Or sometimes they have been in an accident or in a very traumatic situation. And these are the ones who just need they just need healing and comforting and love. These are the ones who need us to embrace them, because they are just suffering, and the spirituality finally can help them get out of this suffering. So they need a hospital, they need to be taken care of. So these are the ones who are easier for us sometimes, because all they need is love, actually. So we have the Avengers, who are very hard to deal with, because they have been very seriously hurt. And sometimes they have to understand that what happened to them is a consequence of what they had done in previous lives. But sometimes they are very obsessive, very focused on that situation. So they need us to have a lot of forgiveness of our own, because sometimes we are the ones who have hurt them as well. Right, Luis?
Yes, and that's sometimes when the role of the physical medium in the circle starts to play, because sometimes we need a photoplasmic medium to give rise for the spirits to make a scene where they project a past life where the person did the thing that caused the person to suffer the thing this last life. And not only that, they need to connect that image from the far past to the psychological feeling of belonging to that image. And this is a very strong moment. And the spirit sometimes really has a shock to discover that what he suffered was merciful compared to what he had done in the past. Many times it happens, right? So, and it's a great chance for the person to forgive, right? Because the person said, okay, I couldn't understand that one day I had done something worse than I suffered. So it's a very beautiful and very important moment, but we need this kind of photoplasmic mediums or the groups to be very united for the spirits to use this kind of energy and to do this kind of very beautiful work that is projecting the image from the past in a kind of screen, on a kind of screen in front of the spirit, and connect his emotion, right, to those images. So very beautiful work too, and very effective.
Yeah, and challenging.
Sorry, Linda. So Luis, that screen that you're talking about, it's not necessary that everybody in the meeting will see, right? It's just for the spirit, or
Yes,
Yeah.
right.
Yeah.
Yes, for the spirit work. Yes.
Sometimes the monitor sees it, right? Luis sees it sometimes, and
Mhm.
Carlos also. I don't see. It's
Mhm.
Carlos and Luis, and the monitor, the main monitor. Sometimes they see it too.
Yes, and sometimes very strong, the scenes, right? And you need to be psychologically prepared, but it's very touching, right?
Yeah, it's very beautiful because sometimes we are so obsessive with one feeling, like revenge, and we forget, we don't access this past lives because all we care about is now, and they could, maybe they could, if they had a different feeling, they probably would have an intuition that God is fair, right?
And some spirits don't even think about past life. They just
Yeah,
thought that past
yeah,
life was the last one, and they don't think
yeah,
about previous lives. Right?
yeah. Then we have leaders of the dark, which happens sometimes, which is very challenging, the most challenging, because they are very well prepared and they know the spiritual world sometimes even more than we do. Most of the times even more than we do, and they know us, and they want to destroy sometimes the group, and they have a lot of force. So what we do in these situations is that we need a lot of prayer, a lot of help from the whole group, so that the higher spirits can come and touch the heart of this spirit. And it's usually the result of a long preparation on the other side of higher spirits that are trying to rescue this spirit, to change this spirit after a long time, that it's the turning point, and we are just seeing a small part of it, but it's been prepared for a long time, and it's the result of a lot of work of the spirits, and we're just being a small part of it. So we have to have a lot of faith, a lot of confidence, right, Luis, in these situations.
Yes, and and be very calm, right? Faith, because the higher spirits are ruling. Although you can be, threatened, or people, because they know your weak points. They know, they map everybody, and sometimes the mediums have to be careful, because the medium has the impulse of saying, I know what you do, I don't know, I know what about your wrongdoings, your wrong thoughts. So the medium in this case has to refrain and not let the spirits to speak about everything that can put the person into some kind of a shame or something like that, because they really know our weak points, and they try to attack us in our weak points, even in the mystic circle at the moment of the meeting. But all right, you need to just let it go and right do the job of loving and understanding and clarifying the situation for the spirit to be rescued.
Yeah. Well, and we have the spiritual guides, the good spirit, the guides of the meeting, the good spirits that come from the higher places to give us messages. They also come. There are meetings that they come in every meeting. Sometimes they don't come, but sometimes they come every meeting in the beginning or in the end of the meeting after the work is done, and or when it's very challenging, sometimes they come in the middle to help us to give a good word so everybody can go on. So and we know that we're not alone. So this is very common too. Anna, we have how long? Can we have 10 minutes? I think we can finish in 10 minutes. Okay, so how to actually talk to the spirits. I'm learning that as well. So first of all, really listen to them. They need to be listened to. Sometimes they haven't been listened to in a very, very, very long time. And you can't really help someone unless you listen and you know what the problem is and you ask questions like a therapist, like Anna said in the beginning, not like a therapist do. So always be kind and true, because they know our real feelings. They can see our feelings much more than we do sometimes. So don't be fake. Don't say things just for saying. Put your best intentions, put your best willing to help. Be kind. Don't sometimes the other day I was talking to the spirit, and Vladimir said to me afterwards, he said, like, you were trying to convince the spirit or to show him that you know more. And I didn't even realize that I was doing that, but I was trying to how do I say, to battle the spirit in the mental way, right? And that doesn't work. What works is when they know that you're truly interested in their good, in their goodwill, and in their in doing good for them, in their getting better and everything. So always be kind and true. Don't lecture them. Understand their situation. Even though they are, sometimes they come threatening, they come in an aggressive way. It's not that we have to set boundaries. We have to give them limits, of course. We have to be firm, but without arguing, without letting the same vibration of anger. We can't get in the same vibration of anger or of arguing. Not at all. We have to trust that if they are there, there's a reason. The higher spirits put them there for a reason, and they will be helped. They will receive what they are needing to receive, even though if they don't turn instantly to understanding the good. Sometimes they don't, but you should never argue with them. Anna.
Yeah, I was hearing what you said, and I was thinking, okay, so what impression is the group having in terms of the type of meetings that we do have in Brazil? And I think is one thing that is important to mention is the circle meetings in Brazil, and those meetings being handled by the spiritist centers, the ones with a large experience. they are more on the healing and release type of circles, and because most of the time, so I've been in circles here in US, and those meetings, they're lighter. They're more like we meet some relatives, we meet good people, conveying supporting messages to us. Actually, it's the opposite. They are there to help us, to cheer us up. And what you're doing, what you're explaining, is the type of meeting that is actually this group, the mediums, the coordinator, the gatekeeper, they are there to help the spirits that will ultimately help suffering spirits. So it's a little bit more, how can I say, it's a little bit heavier. It demands a lot from the mediums, from the people sitting in the circles, but also it demands a lot from the the spiritual guides, right?
Yeah, yeah, of course, there are the experimental meetings. There are lighter kind of meetings, right? The lighter kinds of meetings. But then in those more scientific meetings, healing meetings only, or there's not much dialogue, right? So so we are focusing on that because of the dialogue, the purpose of the study, which is dialogues. Okay. Gloria, please.
Yeah, I guess I was sitting here thinking, with the incredible resources there are in higher spirits in the afterlife, I was trying to understand why in the world any spirit would come to we humans to look for some kind of relief. It didn't make any sense to me. And Anna kind of answered that. It's so that they can, I guess, be empowered to go heal others and themselves. It's still, though, it's confusing to me. There's so many more resources on the other side in terms of higher spirits. I don't understand why they would come to a circle of.
Yeah, they don't actually need us, but they could solve the problems without us, and they actually do solve most of their problems without us. But it's good for us to understand and to help. And
it gives us the opportunity, it gives us the opportunity to volunteer and be your servers.
Yeah.
Okay, so they're sent to us.
Yeah, and sometimes what is useful to them as well is that we have this material and this material thing that we have, this ectoplasm, and when a spirit comes in touch with a medium, a physical medium, an incarnated medium, the spirit has a shock. It's a shock, a biological shock, a material shock, and it makes them think it over. It helps them think it over, because it's a shock, like when you're born and when you die, you have biological shocks, and in this way it helps, right, Luis?
A wake-up call. I get it.
Yes, wake-up call. And what Giles said is very true, because we are surrounded by millions of ignorant people, spirits, that are very physical, that live their lives in the spiritual realm very physically. And they have no clue of the presence of higher spirits in their lives. And many times in the spirit, for example, because we are talking now here about a spirit release circle, right? Mediumistic circle, spirit release is a therapeutical meeting. Is not just to train your mediumship or just to talk to people, beloved ones who crossed over. No, it's it's very important, because nowadays what's happening to humanity is that we have come to so many resources like psychiatric medicine. People have been taking this medicine, but they have forgotten to take care of their spirits. That's why suddenly the person who was taking that, had been taking that medicine, suddenly gets into a shopping mall and kills hundreds of people, tens of people, because the medicine cannot hold the hard, difficult situation where the spirit. So we just overlooked the idea of the spirit because of the physical resources we have here. But then in these spirit meetings, in the spiritual circles, spirit release circles, right, we can solve and really work the problem of the spirit, because the problem sometimes, right, lies down there in far away in other lives and other situations.
Yeah.
That's why we spiritists say to psychiatrists and psychologists, okay, do your work. It's very important, psychiatry. It's very important, psychology. But if you overlook the idea of the spirit, it will always be incomplete. Always. And I've seen in this last 40 years, so many people being healed by spirit release circles. I myself, right, they've been healed by these things. And it's a pity that a country like, for example, the United States or other countries that know about spiritualism it hasn't done this yet. So I think it's very good and very important, this kind of skill, right? Kind of expertise to get into. And it's beautiful, right? I've seen so many people that were under use of medicine that nowadays they just don't use anything, but they have a spiritual discipline to follow, and they do, and they are very successful in that matter, right?
Yeah, thank you, Luis. Anna.
Yeah, I was just adding a little bit to what Luis was saying, like there are so many anxieties and depressive people taking medicine, not realizing that, some of those issues could be healed if they need a better, or they dedicated some time to this spiritualistic reality, if you will.
Yeah, and that's why the last one is to be respectful, because not only the spirits have been through a lot and they need our respect for everything that they have gone through, but also the people who are being healed here in the physical plane, in the physical realm. We should not comment or judge, because we don't know if we would have been in even worse situations. So we have to have charity, put ourselves in their places and have respect, and not comment not judge and not comment on whatever that has happened. And in terms of morality, or we should be respectful, and could be your mother, your father, your son, your daughter, your brother, your sister. Anyway, so let's always have that in mind. And then just to finish, the necessary resources that we use is praying in the school group. They have mentioned that they pray because the spirits ask them to pray, because it makes a better environment. So the hands-on healing mediums, they always help. So they are a very good resource to help the balance of the meeting. Goodwill, that we always have to have. Humbleness, because sometimes, like we said, sometimes you see just a part of the situation, and sometimes when we get together in the end of the meeting to say, oh, I saw that, and sometimes you see that what you saw is not exactly what it should have been, or maybe you saw what was right, but people didn't give you credit for that. So you have to be humble anyway. And an affinity group where people study and trust each other is very important, because without it, like Luis said before, without that, we don't have a good environment. And discipline, because we have to be committed to the task, to the task. So we passed a lot on the time. I thank you for your patience, and I hope it helped a little bit. So thank you.
Very good. Thank you. Thank you so much, Leda. It was amazing presentation, very good material. And I would just like to add a little bit more, saying, you know, yeah, friendship is key, and trust is key for the success of any meeting, right? Any circle meetings. Because at the end of the day, you want to make sure that you are building up this egregor. I do not know how to say that in English, but Luis may know better what egregor means. You know, it's this psychosphere, and full of good energy, good vibration, and that at the end of the day will be the main responsible one to keep the meeting safe and successful. Hyacinth, please.
Yes. Do you see sometimes doves at the meetings? Because in that last picture, there was a dove.
Oh, sometimes, yeah. Last meeting, I think someone saw the last meeting or the one before. Yes, sometimes we do.
Symbol of peace. Thank you.
I'm
Anna,
talking to
you're mute.
myself. So any comments, any questions for Leda?
Just thank you very much. This helped a lot.
Oh, I thank you, Gloria. Thank you, and Giles for participating, and Hyacinth, everybody. Thank you.
Thank you, everyone. And next Saturday, we will continue with the study of the book, the Spirits book. And it's going to be on the 29th. So I'll see you next Saturday then. Thank you all. Talk to you
Bye-bye.
later.
Thank you,
Bye-bye.
Luis and Anna.
See you tomorrow.
See
Thank
you.
you.
Thank you,
Bye.
guys.
Bye-bye.